Ah, there we go. Finally. We get into the nitty gritty. Okay, hey guys. I know it's been a while since I posted, and I know I'm sorry about not posting anything about the go-kart. I know you saw the egg video, and it's been quite a while since I posted. I've been wanting to post, but I've just been too busy. I've done a lot of things recently, and I haven't touched the go-kart, but we do have some brand new engines for it. We have a little white Briggs & Stratton, and we've got this black Briggs & Stratton. It's 5-horse. And we might be making a built motor. I doubt we will, but we'll probably do some mods to it. We call that one Leroy, and the other one's the Marshmallow Mouse. We're going to be putting Leroy on Patina, the go-kart. It has a almost complete roll cage on it now. And I've been busy with a couple other projects. Namely, my two-stroke bike. We call her Old Blue. Because of the blue tires, obviously. What this is it's legally a 49cc. Legally. But unofficially, truthfully, it's actually a 66. It's a 66cc two-stroke. This is actually on a different bike that we called the Murray. Here's a picture. Oh, alright, good. So this tank was black, and the paint peeled, so now it's gold, and it still looks like shit. We have actually a really nice speedometer, and if you accurately note, this odometer is accurate. I've put 189, almost 190 miles on this thing. And technically it was illegal. Technically. Because technically it's not legal yet. But within a month or two it will be. I got mirrors. I bought a new kill switch, which is already on there. I've got a headlight up there. I've got tail light and turn signals down there. I've got another sprocket that I'm going to put on it, which is much bigger, but I'll show you guys the holy grail. This is going to be what's going to go on there after it passes registration and I get this thing legalized. This is a 36 tooth sprocket. What's on there is a 44, and it does about 35, 40 mile an hour on that stock sprocket. But this one comes with like a reinforced hub mount, which will be much better. This thing's insane. Now, I have put a disc brake conversion kit on it up front. And yeah, that was an ordeal to put on there. It's got a couple basic mods. Air filter is much less restrictive than it used to be. And the exhaust is uncorked. I'll show you guys actually a little trick that you can do to pick up power on these. I lose absolutely everything. I swear, I would lose my head and every other part of my body if they weren't attached to me. You know, lights would be nice. I'll probably edit this out. Me looking for parts that I probably won't put back on anyway. Ah, there it is. Ah, okay. So this is our little end cap. What happens is this thing goes in the muffler, and they're super restrictive, and they make the bike super quiet. And what happens is there's a little nut. It's a 10mm nut on the end here. You take that out, and you can literally just pull this thing right out, and it frees up the exhaust, and it sounds really good. The way I see it, this thing is better than a Prius in a lot of ways. It gets better gas mileage than a Prius, for one. This thing, if you do the math, it gets like 60 miles to the gallon. And that's about a half-gallon tank, so about 30 miles in that one tank, so that's amazing. And it does burnouts too, which is awesome. Another thing is, it's more stylish. Yeah, the burnout is king now. Burnout. Like, if you look, you can see these tires are worn, like, really bad. If you look up here in the fronts, they aren't worn. Why? Because I can't do burnouts on the front wheel. So yeah, I'll show you guys my little turn signal. So basically what you do with this thing is you push both buttons at the same time, and then the little thing comes on back here. Watch. Alright, I'm hitting the left button. Right? That's pretty awesome in my opinion. I think those are pretty cool. Considering, oh, those are like 20 bucks, which is probably a little too much to pay for that. But, hey, I'm happy. I thought they'd crapped out on me the other night when they just shut off and wouldn't turn back on, but it turns out the batteries just died. I gotta get a new carburetor because our little primer valve in here, like literally the parts of it that go into the carburetor are coming out of the carb. So that's not good. So yeah, like I said, got mirrors, got turn signals. Now I'm really just waiting on one part, and I can go take this thing up to the BMV and get it registered. I'm really just waiting on a brake light that's coming from China, which will hopefully be here March 12th. Hopefully. Now, this is all good and well. And, oh yeah, and my clutch cover's off. This is the second clutch. No, third clutch that's ever been in this thing. First clutch, they were just garbage. They always just came apart. Second clutch, it ate all the ball bearings. Like, literally, there's nothing left in there. I can show that. I'll show a picture of that later. But, yeah, this thing's a really awesome bike. It's fun to drive. It's fast. It's loud. People call the cops on me all the time. But I haven't told you the holy grail that's in this tank. See that in there? Yeah, probably not. But that is 50% nitromethane. RC fuel. I know what you're thinking. Yeah. That was one of my dumber ideas that happened with a friend of mine. He actually came up with the idea. He was like, "Hey, I got some RC fuel. You want to put that in your tank?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" And obviously that was a bad idea. But I mean, it was a bad idea, but I got it tuned now, so it's running okay. Not amazing, but not like shit anymore. And this thing RPMs like you wouldn't believe. Like it's hitting like 12,000 RPM. I'll put a picture, or not a picture. Here's some footage of this thing doing a burnout and the RPM that it was hitting when doing that burnout. Now, I'm going to fire it up, and I'll show you guys the RPM that it's hitting with the nitro on it. Now, here's a strange thing. It's about 10% nitro content on this RC fuel that was in this tank. It had castor oil in it, which is pretty cool, pretty interesting. And this thing is awesome. It RPMs like crazy, but when it gets really warm, you got to watch out and you got to give it a break, because if it gets too hot, I haven't had it blow up yet, but it doesn't want to idle. Like, if you try to make it idle, like, it'll rev up, and then it'll take forever to rev down, and it just wants to skyrocket in RPM. It's scary, because at any minute, it could just send a if it decides to, it could send a connecting rod out the block and into your crotch. That's kind of scary to think of. But, yeah, it's awesome. I haven't really done a legitimate top speed run yet, because of a bunch of things, namely snow. This thing's never seen warm weather in its life, which I'm really hoping for some warm weather, which we could get tomorrow. If I can get out and get this thing on the road tomorrow, I'm going to be so happy, because I'm going to go for a top speed run, hopefully, and not get pulled over, because this thing's loud as hell. But I'm going to get on it and fire it up and show you guys what I'm talking about. So here's a couple things to be mindful of. Now, this kit isn't for everybody. I know a lot of people think, oh yeah, I gotta get one. They're pretty cheap considering. You can get these things for about $100. You can probably get a really good deal on them if you search long enough. I got mine for about 110. They're obviously worth it. The cool thing is these things can be like dirt bikes. Put the right tires on them, you can go off-roading and have a blast. Now, here's a couple of drawbacks. This thing is really difficult to drive and start. Now, you got to work the clutch, especially in the choke, especially in the cold. I mean, you do have to work the clutch as well, because it's a manual clutch, which I love. But it's there's a 4-stroke kit as well, which has a centrifugal clutch. Now, that scares me. Especially if it had a carburetor like this. Because if it just wants to skyrocket in RPM like this, that clutch is just going to lock up and it won't stop. And I've had a problem with this thing over revving. And what happened was it basically became a nitro engine, like an RC engine. My spark plug would start to glow red inside the engine, and it would ignite the nitro and the air fuel mixture coming in there, and it would not let me shut this engine off. So we're going to kick the lights on out here, I guess. We'll see. Let's kick them on, and we'll figure out what happens from there. We'll see how bad the lighting is. That doesn't seem too bad. Gloves. That's one thing you always want to remember, and helmet too. I'm not going to worry about it for right now because I'm not going to go too far. I wear these welding gloves that I got at Harbor Freight, which, believe it or not, these are like the best winter gloves you'll ever get. So basically, this thing has no kickstart, has no pull start, there's no electric start. You have to pop the clutch, get it rolling, let go of the clutch, and it'll spin the engine over and fire it up. Now these things are really fun to drive, but you can't just dump the clutch and take off. I know some people will think, oh yeah, I dumped the clutch, it's going to do this. And pop a wheelie, pull the front end in the air. No, it's not going to do that. You're just going to stall the motor and wear out your clutch. So if you want to leave from a dead stop using only the clutch and not pedaling, you got to very gently engage it and give it a little bit of throttle. And if you go too far with the throttle, though, it doesn't have enough torque, and it won't keep up. And if you get that point, dial back on the throttle a little bit, and it'll accelerate. And then once it gets up to speed, go ahead and let off. So now I've calculated there's probably about a 5% nitro content left in this motor because of the fact that we did 50% gas, 50% nitro fuel. And that nitro fuel only had about 10%. And if this thing's acting super crazy on 5% nitro, then I don't want to know what it's going to do if you put something like 50 or 30 in it or something. But let's get it started and I'll show you guys. right? Not only is this thing loud as hell without nitro, but it's probably hitting like 14,000 RPM. This engine's really only designed to hit like 10. And that's still a lot, considering. So, that's pretty much what I've been working on so far. I drive it everywhere, even though it's not legal yet. There's that yet there. That's waiting its turn. As soon as China decides to deliver my brake light, I can make this thing legal. I've got all the rest of the parts. I'm going to swap the sprockets so this thing's only going to do about 20, but that's only so it can pass inspection. After that, it's going to be a rocket. Don't tell no one. See, yeah, another thing, one of my friends, his name's Josh, but he's not the Josh that you guys have seen on camera. We built another one for him. Now his was like a true mountain bike. This one's a cruiser. My first one was a mountain bike, but I had to cut it up and it was just a piece of shit. So we got a much better one right now. And it's been kinda reliable. It runs okay. It runs really good. It's got me around. Like I said, I've put almost 200 miles on this bike, which that might not seem like a lot to you, but keep in mind this is a bike we're talking here. This is not a car where 200 miles isn't much. So, like our videos, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video and have a good one.